Dennis Takama here, and I'm here with a very good friend of mine, Brenda, who's gone through a lot in her spa business in the last 3 years. In fact, we've increased her revenue by over 400%, and we've increased her bottom line profit. I think this year you'll do 27%, but starting from the fact that we were at nothing, we're talking monumental thousands of percentages increase in net profit. So to get us started, where were you at before we started working together?
So I'm a registered nurse, and I was working full-time at a hospital in a management position, and I have at that time 2 small children. I think they were like 1 and 3, and of course that made me busy. My husband, just a busy life, and I was in this business. I had started it up with 2 colleagues of mine. And so really the focus really wasn't on the business so much as it was our own individual careers. And so we were kind of running it as a side business.
So more like a hobby?
Yeah, it was more like a hobby. And just along the way, one of the partners decided that it wasn't working, and she removed herself from the partnership, which was completely fine. And so then it was just myself and my other partner, and he had an opportunity to work out of country, and he decided to do so. And it did leave me with my clinic, with my job, and with my family. And for the longest time I did both, and I worked crazy hours, and would work at the hospital and then come to the clinic thereafter. And I was able to make that work for quite a while because I had a nanny at home. And my husband was very supportive, but it did come to the point when I got that phone call from my partner and said that he had decided to leave, that I needed to do something. I felt that was the straw that kind of tipped me over the edge.
So now you're working a full-time job and left managing the business full-time by yourself.
And I knew that I needed to make change, but I didn't know how to go about it. And I remember having gone to a lunch and learn, and you were the guest speaker. I had no idea what your name was, but I do remember what you said to me, or it felt like you were saying it to me. It was a room full of people. I'm probably getting emotional because it's taking me back. You said, I can help you live the life you want to live. And I knew that I was not living that life. So I'm like, I need to find that guy, and I need to call him, and we need to work together. So
what did that life mean for you? Like, what weren't you getting that you were hoping for?
I really felt the pull to spend more time with my family. I had my children, obviously, as an older mom. I wasn't in my 20s, and I was a new discovery. It's very humbling to have children because you learn things about yourself that you would never do. You'd, stand in line for preschool when you wouldn't stand in line for yourself to get tickets to your favorite concert, right? Children throw you out of your comfort zone, and as an adult, we tend to not go out of our comfort zone,
right,
but we do for our children. And it was humbling to learn that I didn't want to pick up the steps and fast track my career. I wanted to be home with my children, and I wanted to be home in the morning with them. That was a really tough piece for me. After school, I seemed to be better with, they could go to a babysitter or after school care or something like that when they became school age. But it was the mornings, and I'm like, I need to have Dennis help me so I can be less busy, hopefully maybe work only at the clinic, give up my full-time position at the hospital, and be more present, because I wasn't present. So I think those were my goals at the time, to be present and to not feel crazy busy.
So basically to take more time away from the career, more time with the family, but you just weren't getting it because the business was pulling you one direction and the hospital was pulling you another?
Yeah.
So then you made that change point, right?
So I made the change point that I needed to do something, not knowing what that would look like. But also, I think, having heard you at that luncheon, I also knew that I didn't have the resources or the expertise to do so. And I really did feel It's funny how a conversation can change you so much, or you can hear so much that resonates with you, but I really felt that you were the expert in that field, and I needed you to assist me along my journey.
Right. So then we had that first cup of coffee.
Yep, we did.
We sat down for that, we had a discussion. So after that first cup of coffee, we looked at where your business was going and the career choices you had to make, because it wasn't easy. At this point you had from what I remember, a full-time nursing position that gave you a full pension if you were to finish off your term, or a business that was struggling, floundering, and almost ready to fall apart. On the other hand, how did you pick between the business and what looked like security?
In retrospect, it was probably a no-brainer of a decision, but at the time it was very difficult because like I was in a management position, so I did have flexibility. I didn't have to be at work at 7, and I could often pop out throughout the day if I needed to do something. But on the other hand, I still had meetings and things that I needed to do, and a lot of times I was at the U by 7 on a Monday morning or something like that. And I also knew that if I put my heart and soul into it, I could probably do something with the clinic. I wasn't sure what that something was, but I also had you to believe in me and say, you can do this. And I think that is what made the difference, because you were like, you have to make a decision, you have to do this. And it really came down to was like, I'd already taken the risk, I'd already opened up a clinic, I'd already bought machines. Was I really going to close the door and lose all of that? Like realistically, probably not, because I'd never get myself out of that hole. And I think it was the belief that, going back to that statement again, you can live the life you want to live.
Right.
And I knew that you had the tools and the resources and the ability to get me there. So that's what I did.
So we made that decision. If I remember correctly, we quit the job. Went into a business that had no certainty of, I think at this point we didn't have enough money in the business to pay you a salary or a wage.
That is true, we did not.
It was pretty much all going back to the business. So you had some money saved up, some things that you were doing that allowed you to stay afloat for about the first 6 to 8 months before things started to turn around.
Yeah.
What were some of the big things that helped, that we worked through, that helped you turn the business from floundering and basically wondering whether or not we're going to make it to where we are today, 3 years later, with, I think we'll do $1 million this year?
So, yeah, for the first 6 months I didn't take a wage, and I was like, okay, but it was the steps. It was like, when I felt overwhelmed, it's like, okay, this is what we're doing this week, and you held me accountable, and you were like, this is your homework, this is your to-do list, and we just started chipping it off, and we started with processes and getting things, workable within the clinic, and we had a few clients, and we just continued on with that through word of mouth and small advertising.
And we didn't do a lot of marketing that worked.
Didn't.
I think we invested quite a bit of marketing in areas that didn't work.
We did a lot of marketing that didn't work.
Yeah, and I think the best one was just making sure the experience was out there for the clientele, making sure that they were able to tell their friends, which is really funny because our motto is everyone will see but no one will know. And yet, word was still getting around of the quality of the work that we were doing here. That helped increase revenue. What else worked for you?
I think just the strong belief that we were going to walk down this journey together, and that I was able to throw things off of you, call you at any time. We really seemed to work well together, and it was just like focusing on what we were doing that week, and not looking at 6 or 12 months down the road, and ensuring that we had the numbers and we were tracking them. Instead of worrying about what ifs at the end of the month. Do you have enough money to pay your rent, your bills, all that stuff? It was
your lease payments.
We knew where we were, before the end of the month, and that was really helpful. And then it just gave me the ability to do clinical and move forward from there.
So you still had the clinical hours that we were doing. I think at that time when we started the first year, you were still pulling in about 40 to 50 hour work weeks.
I was, yeah.
And what you're doing now, and it's been within the last 3 years you've been able to pull back. I think you said August you took the most amount of holidays you've ever had, and you were only short on revenue by about $500.
That's true.
So you've been able to acquire a lot of that family time back through processes. And I know one of the other hiccups we went through was a lot of staffing stuff along the way. And we put some hiring processes in place to handle that. How did that help you with finding the proper employees to fit the spot? Because you had a lot of management experience with working with staff in the past when you were coming into this. I
have, and I thought, you know, at times I was like, oh, you know, my gut, I've hired so many people in my career, and I said, well, I can't complain about who I hire if I don't follow the process.
Right.
So, you know, we started following the process, and I mean, you know, if you told me I had too many employees and I needed to let them go, which you did when we started together, I mean, as tough as it was, you know, it was always the right decision. And so with the hiring, you know, it was really good because it's just a different environment in here, and we need to work so cohesively as a team that the hiring process now to me is like easy. You know, it's fun, and you're able to see quickly whom maybe you wouldn't see on a one-on-one setting that they will or won't work because of how they interact with them. Because we usually do like a group interview setting. So, yeah.
So when we first started, it was 2 jobs, it was no family time, it was no revenue coming to the business. Like I said, I think we were doing around $15,000 a month at the most. This year we'll do just over $1 million, and you're working on average, what, 10 hours in the clinic, 20 hours in the clinic a week, a week?
No. I worked in this past year 1,142 clinical hours. So a full-time job is just over that 2,000 hour mark. So half.
So part-time.
Part-time.
So part-time hitting $1 million. Spending more time with your kids? Spending more time with your husband? Because I think at one point in this, your husband even lost his job and we were able to support the family through the clinic.
Yes, he did not work from September to December of 2016.
So, yeah, so then that even helped, right?
That did help.
Because I know some of the strategies we worked through when we got started was, one was helping understand the financial numbers in a way that you can make proper decisions. We did things with cash flow and inventory that allowed us to save even more money and buy things in bulk and do things that way. We put the hiring process in place, which allows the employees to filter themselves through. So we're always getting with the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
And with a lot less stress than the traditional, here's your resume and
absolutely.
Figure it all out.
Yeah.
We've been working on culture statements, we've been working on systems and processes to clean up the experience, and what's important to note here is that through this whole process, we've never invested a ton of money in marketing.
No.
It's all just been through customer experience, through word of mouth, through them telling their friends. We've had people that have come in from Yellowknife, from like, how many hours away, like what's the farthest client you've had that's come in because of you guys?
I have a couple of clients that live in the United States. It makes a point to come here, and that's not uncommon. We have quite a few clients like that. You know, some, you know, it's, you know, twice a year, but it's just all about having that plan and that vision with them. And I mean, that's wonderful that they make that a priority for them during the holiday for us.
Right.
We love that.
To come back out and just finish up the cycle and finish the treatment because of the trust you've built with them.
Absolutely.
And the results you get for it.
Yeah.
So if you feel like this is something that would work for you, there's simply a button below. Book a 15-minute strategy session. That's exactly how Brenda and I started our conversation. It was worth seeing if there's a fit. If there's no fit, we don't move forward. If there's a fit, we'll see what that looks like for you. And Brenda's results aren't that uncommon. In fact, I worked with a laser clinic not that long ago, and it was within 90 days they went from no money to being profitable. So there's always steps and processes for you. If this feels like the right thing, just click the button below, we'll book a strategy call, and I'll talk to you then.